the other thing that I also asked is, so what support can parents give their children or kids or young people or adults? What kind of support do you think, as a person who has lived through it and continues to live through mental wellness, what is the kind of support that we should be giving as parents? Because again, many of us are not used to that, right? So how would we, what is the kind of support do you think that we should be giving to young people?
So the one thing that I wanted to mention is that, the first thing that comes to mind most of the time when you discover that your child is struggling with mental health issues is therapy, which is good. And, if you're fortunate enough to be able to access mental health care, that's something that you should definitely leverage. But I think it's very important for the family, parents, to play an active role in therapy, right? So not just sending your child off to therapy and expecting or thinking that, okay, while I've done my part, my child is going to therapy, the therapist is doing their job. I think an important part of therapy is I think an important part of therapy is, parents playing an active role in that as well, because a lot of the time, I think, when you go to therapy, the focus is on you, but you need support from your family. I mean, you can't function on your own and do this work all on your own, and then you return to an environment where, nothing is really changing, only you are changing. So I think that is very important for children, for the relationship between children and parents. And then I think, in addition to this, I think it's also very important for parents to try and do things, beyond what is typically expected from a parent, right? So yes, it's very important for us to spend quality time together, and maybe we do that by watching TV at night or having conversations over supper. But it's very important to do things in addition to that. So maybe, on a Saturday, you could go for a run in the morning, or you could just spend just quality time away from social media, away from technology. Participate in activities that, strengthens your relationship. And I think, but in doing so, you learn a lot about each other. And I think it would be easier also for parents or for children to pick up on whether, someone is struggling in the house. Because how do you know how someone is struggling, if someone is struggling, if you don't really know the person that well?
Okay, so I know that my team have asked you to put a couple of questions together for me since we're having a conversation. But before we delve into that, it's interesting, something that just sparked a thought, and I'd like to get your insights as a young person in the context of mental wellness and how the world has just moved. So our question I have for you is this need to be connected, this technology thing. Do you think that has a direct impact to this ever-growing awareness of mental wellness and some of the issues that we're seeing? Do you think there's some connection there?
In terms of raising awareness?
No, in terms of, again, there's the awareness element, but again, more and more we're seeing a lot of people struggle with mental wellness. And I was wondering if there's a connection, particularly now that we are in this connected world, this digital world, this always-on world. Do you think that is something got a lot to do with what we're now seeing play out in the context of mental wellness with a lot of young people?
Yes, I definitely do. One, I know it's not necessarily like digital in general, but social media. Right? I mean, it's very easy for us to spend hours and hours and hours, online. Especially, on a platform like Instagram, where people are constantly portraying a perfect image of their lives. So you spend so much time on these platforms, and you kind of, you kind of see what people are experiencing, the kind of experiences that they have, and then you start thinking about your life. Why don't I drive this car? Why don't I have these things? Or why is my family not like this? And you question your life, and it just seems not good enough because it's not picture perfect or it's not what everyone else is portraying online. And so I think, we tend to overthink things, and, that sort of thing can get to you a lot and take a toll on your mental health. So there's a connection there.
Okay.
And then I think also we are, scrolling, spending so much time on social media, or even if you're not on social media, if you're just playing a game or you're watching TV but you're on your cell phone at the same time, your brain is so stimulated that it could actually impact your cognitive like your cognition. And I think I saw a study about how people who spend so much time on social media doing so many things at once, watching TV, scrolling on their cell phone, but they're also cooking and they also watching kids, and that sort of thing has increased ADHD. I think it's ADHD. So that's also another mental health challenge. And then so that's it.
So I want to give you some time to ask me some questions, and I hope they're not some difficult questions, right? Because again, the team wanted us to be able to have a good conversation about this. So what are the questions that you have that you'd like me to share on?
Yeah, so I'm constantly having to reflect on my own mental health journey, just because I'm in therapy almost every week. So I have to think back about what happened in the past. So I've always been curious about what your thoughts were when you first learned about my mental health struggles, and whether you've thought about mental health before that, or whether in general, or just if you've ever dealt with mental health on a personal level.
Okay, that's an interesting question, because again, let's remind the folks that I'm from El Dorado Park, right? And so we grew up really, really rough. And so let me talk in the context of mental wellness. For me, it's always been the person in the community that we know has challenges with mental health, wellness, and that potentially goes to one of those facilities. That has always been my portrayal of this. And when we had this experience with you, the first thing that we were confronted with was whether to decide to put you on medication or not, right? And so for me, it was a struggle, because one, coming in from what I used to know, coming from El Dorado Park, and I having to make a decision around people going onto medication was really a tough one for me, because again, medication meant that there was something wrong with you, and I didn't see anything wrong with you. But as soon as I got over that, I realized that that medication was a way of helping you find yourself, control the scenario, and then very quickly move on to the more important things. Because again, medication is only one of the tools used to help people that have some challenges from a mental wellness perspective. And so I think that was the very difficult one for me, coming into this, having to make a decision automatically on things like medication and drugs, etc., etc. So for me, that was a tough one, but I think with the help of the practitioner we worked with really helped us to manage through the process. So a key message there was that even though it was foreign, we were blessed to have a good practitioner that could walk us through this journey and help us make the right decision. Yeah. So I hope that these conversation points are something that you can embrace. Very importantly, if you like the conversations we're having, please do reach out on the platform. Tell us what you want us to come have a conversation about. And I'll take some of my time to come and share with you and bring some of the life experiences that I've picked up over the last 20 or so odd years. So folks,